A long time ago, on a small farm in California, lived an old woman. She had spent her entire life working alongside her husband. Together, they had owned vast lands, sprawling cornfields, and tended to many animals. But after her husband passed away, life took a difficult turn. Her knees ached, her movements became slow, and a deep weariness settled in her bones. Her daughter and son-in-law moved in with her, but the daughter she once knew was gone. She had become impatient, her words often laced with anger. The son-in-law was lazy, content to sleep away most of the day, while the old woman tried to keep the farm going. She was tired, but she kept trying. One night, as darkness blanketed the house, she overheard the young couple whispering, "If we continue like this, we'll starve," the husband said, his voice a low grumble. His wife's reply was sharp and cold. "Mother has to leave. We need this house for ourselves." The next morning, loud noises woke the old woman. She slowly made her way outside and saw a heartbreaking sight. Her clothes, her cherished blankets, and her worn shoes were thrown carelessly onto the dirt. Her daughter stood there, her face a mask of indifference. "Mother, you must leave," she said, her eyes fixed on some distant point, never meeting her mother's. The old woman's hands trembled. "This is my own house," she whispered, her voice barely audible, but the door slammed shut in her face. She sank onto the cold step and cried until the sun began to set. But what the couple didn't know was a secret she held close. For years, she and her late husband had saved every spare coin, hiding their life savings in a stone box near the old corral. That night, under the cover of darkness, she went there. Her hands, though shaky, moved the familiar stones and found the box. Her savings were safe. With this, she could start again. She walked to the next village. A kind farming family recognized her, their faces etched with concern. They offered her hot food, strong tea, and a small, warm room for the night. The next morning, she asked if there was any land for sale. "Yes, there is," they told her, pointing toward a good plot not far away. She bought it. With the help of her new, kind neighbors, she built a sturdy wooden house. She planted corn, its green shoots, a symbol of new life. She raised chickens that clucked happily in the sun. She had found peace. A young boy from a neighboring farm often came to help with chores. He was respectful and kind, his presence a comfort to her. Meanwhile, her daughter and son-in-law's lives spiraled downwards. They refused to work, and the house they had stolen began to crumble. Weeds choked the yard, and their days were filled with bitter arguments. They remained convinced the old woman was destitute and gone forever. One day, desperate for work, the son-in-law walked for miles. He stumbled upon a beautiful, thriving farm and knocked on the door. When it opened, he stared in disbelief. It was the old woman. "You," he stammered. "Yes," she replied, her voice calm and steady. He begged for a job, explaining he had no money and no food. She agreed to hire him, but on one condition: "You must not tell my daughter that this farm is mine." He nodded eagerly. "I promise." He worked hard every day, and the old woman never treated him with anything but fairness. Her only question was always, "How is my daughter?" He would always reply, "She is fine," even though he knew it was a lie. But one morning, his wife's suspicion got the better of her, and she followed him. She stood in shock before the prosperous farm. When she saw her mother in the yard, her face twisted with rage. "You have all this while I suffer," she screamed. "When you finish shouting, you can speak to me," the old woman said quietly. Her daughter immediately demanded money, the house, anything she could get. The old woman simply gave her a few coins and gently closed the door. The couple wasted the money in a flash. Soon they sold their old, dilapidated house, believing they would inherit the new farm once the old woman passed away. But the old woman had already made her decision. She wrote a will, her hand steady and sure. "My farm will go to the young boy who helped me when I had no one. My daughter shall receive nothing." When she passed, the entire village mourned and buried her with respect. Her daughter and son-in-law arrived to claim their inheritance, only to be met by the neighbors, who told them the truth. Everything now belonged to the boy. Shocked and overcome with shame, the couple left the village, and no one ever saw them again. So friends, remember this story. Even when people try to push you down, you have the power to rise again. Your value is never decided by those who mistreat you. With courage and self-respect, you can rebuild your life brick by brick. Kindness grows, but greed destroys. Choose strength, choose dignity, and always choose your own path forward. Thanks for listening.